here today. This is an important day. It's an important day to celebrate and to educate about alternative fuel vehicles. And I'm sure you've been out in the auto bay, you've seen some of these amazing vehicles. We have to keep this conversation in the forefront to be talking about alternative fuels. For our economy, for the greenness of our environment, it's very, very important. So I'm excited to see there's so many of us here today that are celebrating and educating ourselves and educating others. So thank you for being here today. I'd also like to thank my automotive department. I see Bob Cook back there. He has been an integral part of making sure that we would be able to have this Odyssey Day. He's been working with the Pittsburgh Regional Clean Cities, as well as our National Alternative Fuel Trading Consortium for 7 long years, 7 exciting years, and I want to...
Well, thank you again. 7 years, who would have thought 7 years ago when we held our first event here and we started a partnership with the Community College of Allegheny County West Hill Center in teaching alternative fuels holding events here, basically to educate the public, which is our main focus of the Clean Cities national program, is to educate the public, work on local initiatives and local projects. But this is basically a training session in the ability to get the information out and do away from some misnomers. And as you look through your agenda today, there's a lot of new people that are speaking. If you look out here, there's a lot of newer vehicles out here. As you can see, the technology is changing every day, every year as we're going on. So if you look out in our larger vehicles in the parking lot, you'll see things like 7 Springs that are running propane shuttles, McQuaid Trucking running natural gas Class 8 along with the Giant Eagle. I was telling our county executive, Rich Fitzgerald, that natural gas really hasn't went away from the heavy-duty market side. I mean, we have UPS in New Stanton running over 160 natural gas trucks out of that facility out there. That has gone live. But if you look at the city and some of the other things, you'll notice there's some emphasis on EV, plug-in EV, and hybrid vehicles. Pittsburgh, the city of Pittsburgh, you will hear a little bit on one of their presentations what they're doing in that. I think yesterday the president announced the city getting a grant from DOT on the smart city, so you have some stuff that we're going to talk about. Smart mobility and autonomous vehicles, but not getting away. We are fuel neutral. It's all about reducing our petroleum-based fuels. And for those who know first responders, we actually have a free National Fire Protection Association training for first responders here January 12th. If you go out to our table, there's a flyer on it, and it's free to first responders. And it's put on by the National Fire Protection Association. With that being said, I'd like to introduce my Vice President, Matt Godfrey from Columbia Gas. Jan Lauer, our President, is under the weather today, and so Matt's going to say a few words.
And it really is going to be a few words. As he says, I'm Matt Godfrey, Vice President of the Board of Directors of Pittsburgh Regional Clean Cities. Delighted to see everyone here today and excited about the opportunities that Rick just talked about that you'll have. It's a good chance to not only learn about all the alternative fuels, but actually have hands-on, and that's a unique opportunity. I'm not going to stand in the way or hold this thing up anymore. I'd like to bring on our Executive Director of County Executive, Mr. Rich Fitzgerald. Let him talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. And Rick, thank you. 7 years, wow. It keeps going, and it's terrific. And you think about the kind of the special day we had yesterday when the president, in one of his last actions, brought the Frontiers Conference to Pittsburgh. And really, it's around innovation and a lot of the things that we're going to be working on today, that you've been working on for many years, around clean technologies, new technologies, driverless cars. We had one of the driverless cars there yesterday, and it's exciting that there's going to be one here this afternoon, so, or I guess later in the morning. So it's just terrific. I mean, as things change, and they are changing, we're here at the forefront. You know, with Gretchen and her team here at the West Campus are teaching. It's the next technology. It's for the next generation. It's for some of these young folks I see over there, for little younger than me and Rick and some of the other folks, but it really is for the next generation. And we're so fortunate where we are in Pittsburgh, in this region. When you think about clean cities, you think about our history and obviously what we were known for back in the industrial age. But what a change and what a revolution has really occurred here in our region, and that is recognized by President Obama.
Hello, good morning. Thank you, Rick, Jan, in her absence. But the reason that PIOGA is involved with PRCC is because, first off, PIOGA stands for the Pennsylvania Independent Oil and Gas Association. So long before the Marcellus shale discovery in our region, in our state, there were conventional producers who produced roughly 25% of all of our natural gas demand that we use in our homes to heat our homes and also to cook on our stoves and keep things going. Now with the Marcellus, we have more natural gas than we know what to do with within our state, within our region. So we are working obviously with people that have new technologies that focus on demand side of the equation for natural gas, with vehicles obviously being one of those demand sectors. I want to thank all of our members who are also here today. A lot of you are in engineering and you actually build the infrastructure that gets gas to market, and regarding the transportation segment, you're building the refueling stations, you're building the vessels that are storing the natural gas, and we appreciate all of you. And I would agree with the earlier comments that, you know, we take it to a consumerism level and we keep educating each and every one of us, and we find a way to get young people involved as well. And I would encourage some of the young folks too to look into some student rates for membership in any one of the associations that are energy related. It's a good way to get a perspective outside of what you may be learning in school and get involved with some people who are doing some very interesting projects throughout the state. Some of our best projects come from entrepreneurs, not necessarily large projects, but it's some of the smaller projects within the state that I think you're going to hear about a few of those today as well, that are coming together and just with a vision. So I would encourage you to mix and mingle today and take advantage of as many networking opportunities as you can to get to know each other and to just broaden your scope of who you can work with.
Today, giving us an opportunity to share a little bit about what we're doing on the PA Turnpike as it relates to alternative fuels. Alternative fuels to us means a lot of different things. It means natural gas, it means electric vehicle charging, it means propane, it means B5, it means diesel, B5, it means a lot of different things to us. So we're going to talk a little bit about all those things today, and kind of a little bit of history about what we've done relating to natural gas. We looked back in 2011 at the market. We understood that Marcellus gas was a huge initiative, a huge thing that was going on in the Commonwealth, an outstanding natural resource that would be available for use. And we said, what can we do with it? As you probably are, or as I hope you're aware, the Pennsylvania Turnpike is a customer service organization. You might say that we're a toll road, you might say that we're a highway, you might say a lot of those kind of things, but at the bottom line, we're a customer-driven organization. We try to give our customers what they want, what they need in terms of the market, in terms of where transportation is going into the future. So we looked at natural gas and we said, wow, this is out there, it's real, it's a viable fuel, it's used overseas in many countries to a large extent for vehicles, and we thought there may be an opportunity here to serve our customers in a new and different way, and that was to provide some natural gas fueling. So we put together a group or a panel, if you will, to study natural gas, its use, its benefits, its downfalls, if any, the safety factors, the maintenance factors, a lot of different things associated with natural gas and how it could be or would be used. And quite frankly, when we started our committee back in 2011, the focus was really on liquid natural gas. 47% of our toll collection on the PA Turnpike comes from the heavy truck industry. The heavy truck industry was looking primarily at the time at liquid natural gas. How come? Range, there you go, somebody knows. Range is a big issue. You can get more range out of liquid natural gas, and in some cases, you can even get a little bit more power out of it as well. So we looked at that, we started to investigate, started to see what it would be, how we could use it, how we could deploy it, and what would be,
Sorry, go ahead.
no problem. All right, now, the next big challenge will be for me to figure out this clicker.
To the right, advances forward.
Okay, there's our fast fact sheet. Again, I mentioned that earlier. You can certainly download that off our website, paturnpike.com, and find a little bit more about some of those facts. We talked to this slide here earlier about 2011 when we formed our natural gas committee. And, you know, we were always in contact with our legislature and with our leaders down in Harrisburg, and they, you know, made it known or understood that this was also something that we should really look at in terms of natural gas deployment, how it could be used. So, and knowing that there was a multi-state memorandum of understanding developed between about 14 states, 13, 14 states, to recognize the benefits of clean natural gas and the opportunity that it presented really for not only the Commonwealth, but, you know, vehicle drivers and the industry in general. So we said, wow, with this background behind us, this is a good thing really to take a look at. We really should be more active in this market. So we did a white paper. We engaged Penn State Facilities Engineering Institute, Larson Transportation Institute up there to do some of that investigative work for us and figure out what were, as I mentioned earlier, some of the downfalls, the benefits, the good things, the bad things, and all that kind of stuff. So we generated a white paper, a feasibility study, and we said, where would we put this? What would we do with it? Where would we go? Well, obviously, the first answer is going to be right there at those service plazas that you're probably all familiar with. 17 service plazas up and down the Turnpike. We pump 2 million gallons of gasoline a year, and we think that there's others out there that would be stopping if we had these other fuels available. So we started to look at, through our process, as I mentioned, we started to look at LNG, and we said, wow, that's really looks like where the heavy industry is going. Through some continued focus groups and meetings and discussions, we really, and working with our fuel partner, Sunoco, who provides all our fuel on the Turnpike, we really started to lean toward compressed natural gas. We really started to say, gee, it looks like there's more market for compressed natural gas versus liquid. Some of you know that liquid natural gas, negative 260 degrees, you know, there's some safety things there. Certainly you get more range out of it but there wasn't that many in the market. It looked like there was more in the market talking about the CNG side. So we started to investigate that. We studied the technical considerations, we looked at primary safety and training considerations, and we identified a location where we had the most important thing that we needed to get it off the ground. A pipeline, some infrastructure. Okay, we had to have some infrastructure. Well, we had infrastructure available at our new stand service plaza. There was a pipeline that was big enough that would give us enough volume to be able to give us what we wanted. We worked with Sunoco, and we opened that natural gas fueling station in November 2014. Right now, we're pumping between 6,000 and 8,000 gallons a month. Our target initially when we opened that station was to hopefully pump 2,500 gallons a month. We thought that would be a good, you know, start. Bidder, they had to put in $1 million of their own money, and the Turnpike put up $500,000 for infrastructure support. Currently, we're in the process of deploying those stations right now. We have electric vehicle charging stations in the eastern end. We have quite a few in the western end, and we're kind of filling in the gap in the middle right now, so that we're going to have, when we're done with this project, a continuous corridor, east to west, or west to east, however you prefer to go, on the PA Turnpike, so you'll be able to charge any vehicle on the road. There are level 2 and level 3 chargers, and they will service a Tesla vehicle if you have that appropriate adapter for that Tesla to be able to use. So we'll be able to get any vehicle on the road with our electric vehicle charging capabilities as well. Again, a customer service application.
I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Who sets the rate for charging? Because the link chargers seem to be kind of prohibitively expensive to charge.
That is contractually obligated to the Blink operator.
Because it appears as though that's not regulated.
It's really not that regulated, I guess. The fees are based on, you know, their infrastructure and their fee structure through Blink. Now, the electric rate is the same as what you would get from the utility, essentially. You can't resell electricity.
Correct.
Okay? So the rate of the electricity, but there are other service fees that may involve, which is probably part of that cost.
Jack, do you know what the connection charge is they're charging along the turnpike? Do you know what that is?
For the fleet,
The ones that are installed on the turnpike, are they
I think
like?
it's about $2. I think it's about $2. And there's just a shot of one of those Blink chargers right there. That one is at our Bowmansville service plaza on the PA pipes. So some other things we talked about not being fuel favorites. What else do we have on the PA turnpike? We have 4 stations that are servicing E85. If you're familiar with E85, it's also considered an alternative fuel. We have that available if you so desire to use that fuel. And we also run about 49 pieces of equipment at the PA turnpike on propane. We have 22 propane fueling stations up and down the pipe, and we use various on and off-road equipment, some trucks, some off-road equipment, post pounders and things like that are also propane powered.
Are the propane stations at the service centers?
They are not. The propane stations are not public stations. They are only used for our internal fleet.
Are you considering that at all in the future?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Not at this time. We're gonna finish the EV project, got a few more irons in the fire related to CNG, and that one is while we're using it in our own fleet, we're still considering, you know, other aspects of deployment related to that. But that one is still a little bit on the back burner. And we use B5 diesel in our trucks as well. So as you can see, we're in a little piece of all of the markets related to B5 diesel, E85, propane, CNG, electric vehicle charging. Again, we're a customer service organization, and we're trying to put those things out there to our customers who may want to use them on the PA pipe.
Of full automation. So you can think of automation as really a spectrum. There are multiple levels of increasing functionality. And of course, for alternative fuel, we're seeing growth in electric and hybrid vehicles. A Honda fuel cell vehicle is going to be on the market this winter, and that's a major change. Now, these 3 things, connectivity, automation, and alternative fuels, can be completely independent, or they can kind of work together, and so you design your vehicle to try and take advantage of things. And there are some synergies, and what you're trying to do with the synergies is get safer and less polluting vehicles. I have a couple of examples. So, energy-saving potential of connected and automated vehicles. So, you are all interested in fuels. First, safer travel means fewer delays due to crashes. Okay, I traveled down to Washington, D.C. on Sunday. I ran into 2 crash scenes. It took me about an hour longer than it normally does to drive down to Washington, D.C. The promise of connected and automated vehicles is that we're going to be able to have much safer vehicles and fewer delays of the sort that I ran into on Sunday going down to Washington, D.C. Second thing that can save energy is more efficient driving behavior. You can program in smoother acceleration and deceleration and thereby achieve some fuel economies with automated vehicles. More vehicle platooning on the highways, and the advantage there is you get lower aerodynamic drag. And really, it's already happening. If you drive through the turnpike, as I did on Sunday and Tuesday, you can see big trucks platooning, traveling together very closely. Automated vehicles and connectivity should make that safer and may lead to more of that platooning behavior among trucks. Another thing that may happen with connected and automated vehicles is that safer vehicles may provide incentives for people to buy smaller, more energy efficient vehicles. In fact, there are some visions of pod cars that might be for sale and perfectly safe in the future. The other thing that might happen, less congestion, and again, that's an energy saving, with closer headways, depending on how the programs for the automated vehicles actually work. The other side of it, by the way, the other side of the coin is that with driving being less of a burden, and with a lot of groups that don't travel as much, disabled, health problems, blind, and with empty vehicle travel, we might start seeing an increase of the overall vehicle miles of travel. So you got these
platform, which is a 6.2 liter V8. It goes up through the F450, 550, the E450, the F650, and now the F750, and the F5359. This is a strip chassis. This also becomes a step van. Those all have a similar engine family in them. It's a 6.8 liter V10. Some of the systems are available dedicated only, and to give you just a step back, dedicated means they can only run on one fuel. So they run completely on natural gas. There is also biofuel technology. So on a couple of our platforms, we operate biofuel systems, which mean they can run on gasoline or natural gas. There is a biofuel truck out there that I believe J&J Truck Body brought here. It's an F250 biofuel. The vehicle starts, operates on natural gas. If it runs out of natural gas, it automatically switches over to gasoline. It doesn't require any operator intervention on it. It actually has two sets of fuel injectors on it. So there's one fuel injector for natural gas and one fuel injector for gasoline. It's a good idea. It's good for a fleet that occasionally has to travel away and out of the area where you may find natural gas. This is how we distribute and service vehicles. Here's Landy Renzo in Southern California. We found out very quickly that it didn't make a lot of sense for us to ship trucks all over the country. So we established relationships with other companies who install and distribute our equipment. You'll see some of those companies are based in Pennsylvania. J&J Truck Body there on the left. SMF, which is in Palmerton, Pennsylvania, which is just north of Allentown. And Zaresco over in Turtle Creek outside of Pittsburgh here, and also in Cincinnati. And then you see the truck body companies. Knapheide is a work truck body company. Utilimaster is a work truck body company. They both are authorized to install our systems. Some people, hopefully more people, occasionally ask, hey, how do we do this? How do we buy a vehicle? Barry Car cannot sell a truck. I am not a car dealer. Only car dealerships are authorized to sell vehicles. You have to have a license to do that. So there's two predominant methods in the alternative fuel vehicle world. One is called ship-through. On a ship-through, and Zaresco is a ship-through for Ford Motor Company. Actually, I was just talking to one of the Zaresco reps outside. I thought it was just the 650, 750, but it's the 250 up through the 750. You could go to your local commercial Ford dealer. They're called BPNs, Business Preferred Network dealers. They're probably not the dealer where you go to buy a Mustang. They probably don't sell cars. Most of them just sell trucks. You select a Landy Renzo option, and there's a code that gets put in there. Ford builds the vehicle. They drop ship it to Zaresco. Zaresco installs the Landy Renzo natural gas operating system on it. It then gets reinserted into Ford's delivery system. So it's a very economical way to do that. When it goes back into Ford's delivery system, it goes to your local Ford dealer, it gets prepped, it gets delivered to you. The other option is drop ship. J&J Truck Equipment has a drop ship code. So what happens there is, at the Ford dealership, they enter J&J's drop ship code. Ford builds the vehicle, it gets shipped directly to J&J in Somerset. They install the Landy Renzo operating system on it. The big difference is then they have to deliver that vehicle back either to the end user or to the dealer. So in some cases, if it's a long ways away, it may cost more money to do it as a drop ship versus a ship. That's essentially the difference. Service and support is provided one of three ways. Our installation providers, people like J&J and Zaresco, they are trained to do service on the Landy Renzo natural gas operating system. You can get any Ford or GM dealership to be trained to work on it, and I'm being very careful with my choice of words because not every Ford and GM dealer is trained on it.
Basically CNG, propane, electric vehicles, that's what we've seen. A lot of propane buses this year so far. And then there's the electric vehicle to grid integration project. That was the innovative technology project. Go ahead. So if you want to look at our guidelines, you can go to our website at DEP. We have an online electric submission that everything has to be online. You can't hand me pieces of paper. It has to be online so it can be counted and scored. And the next deadline is December 30th. Go ahead. And obviously there's a handful of us that run and manage the APIC program. Please talk to us. I say this every time, but if you guys are submitting an application and you have not talked to one of the
brief overview of what a metropolitan planning organization is, a few of our core products and how they fit into the congestion and mitigation and air quality program. Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission is the metropolitan planning organization for Southwestern Pennsylvania. We encompass 10 counties. MPO is they were created in the Federal Highway Act of 1962. Every urbanized area over 50,000 people in the United States has one per federal law. What MPOs, essentially what it boils down to is we are the conduit between counties and municipalities, local governments, and the state of Pennsylvania to the federal government, meaning the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration. We foster and facilitate collaborative transportation planning. We have two core products, a long-range plan which presents a 25-year vision of the region, and then a short-term transportation improvement program, which is priority projects that are going to take place over the next 4 years. We come about these solutions and these planning elements through extensive public outreach, various studies, transportation-related impact studies. We look at bridge and road conditions, traffic congestion, bicycle and pedestrians, transit, freight, basically everything that deals with surface transportation. We're supported by federal and state planning funds. Next slide, please. Oh, actually, go back for a second. Sure. And just to give you some background on the 10 counties, 7,000 square miles, about 2.6 million people, 548 municipalities, and 10 transit agencies. Go ahead. As I had alluded to on the previous slide, our long-range plan is the core product of our planning process. What you see up here represents the regional vision and some broad policy statements and goals that have been laid out by our long-range plan. All of the initiatives and all the programs, the CMAQ program included, work to implement the vision and the policies of the long-range plan. The plan, which was just adopted last June, covers from 2015 to 2040. It represents a public investment of over $29 billion over the next 25 years. And that's from state, federal, and local funding. Some of the things that were identified as priorities in the plan through our public outreach and through our technical working groups, and you'll see these carried through in our transportation improvement program as well. We have really 4 major pieces to this. One, we want to take care of what we got. So we need to maintain all of our roads and bridges out there so they're safe for everybody to drive on.
It's one of our 84 coalitions around the country that deploy alternative fuel vehicles and reduce petroleum use in America. And we have an annual meeting every year. I just want to make a special announcement and recognize Rick for his dedication to the coalition. this year he was actually inducted into our Hall of Fame. The program's been around for over 20 years. It's an honor, and he's a champion since it.
Thank you. It's really nice because if you think there's a twin, there's two of them there. They're both regional managers, so they have different regions. You're in the middle northwest, or north?
South Central,
South Central, North Central. So they take care of the coalitions in their districts. So we happen to be in the Mid-Atlantic. We actually had our regional conference call yesterday, which includes New Jersey and West Virginia and Ohio and not New York, Virginia and those like that. So we do have monthly conference calls with our DOE project managers because we do get support from DOE. But it was really a pleasure to get nominated because I think there was only 18 people in the Hall of Fame. I think I looked at it. It was a surprise to me because they caught me by surprise there. But I've been involved with this since about just about a year or two after we came. We've been around for I believe 21 years, Pittsburgh Region Clean Cities. In fact, Matt Godfrey's been involved all of those years from Columbia Gas, our vice president, so we can go back. I had a 2-year hiatus when DOE started paying a stipend to DOE, and I was still working for DOE, so I had a conflict of interest.
My name is Mike. I'm the fleet manager for Duke and Light. He's also on our board of directors, head of the EV committee, chair of the EV committee. So basically, why this truck is a plug-in hybrid right now is because this aerial device, this boom on this truck, has an option to be powered by a battery pack built in the vehicle. This truck typically goes out to a job site and idles for about 4 hours a day. Now, it does stop and go, meaning it goes one job to the next, to the next, to the next, and has the opportunity to recharge its batteries along the way. This truck, when it gets to a job site, can engage an electronic PTO that powers the hydraulic pump to enable the function of the boom without having to run the engine.
Good afternoon and welcome to all who are here. Obviously, as we get to the afternoon session, we're going to slow down a little bit and the crowds will get a little smaller, but I don't want that to affect our panel nor the impact on the folks that we have here today. So with that in mind, actually I just want to do some very brief introductions, but I'll ask each of the individuals to give a little bit of background. Our first presentation today is going to come from Mark Roncone, who's General Manager at Midmont Valley Transit Authority. Mark, give us a little idea of your background, experience.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have been in public transportation now for about 13 years. I originally started with the Transit Authority in their marketing department and then grew into be the executive director of the Midmont Valley Transit. I left for a couple months and I boomeranged back. I'm now with actually MV Transportation, who provides the services for Midmont Valley Transit. So my organization, my company provides all of the operations and maintenance services for the Midmont Valley fleet. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in the presentation too.
All right, thanks for being here. We also have Greg Anderson. He's representing basically on the side of Seven Springs shuttle buses, and he's fleet manager for the Seven Springs Resort. Greg, do you want to introduce yourself and talk about your experience?
I've been working for the resort for 36 years. Fleet manager since 1993. We have a total of 96 vehicles in our fleet, along with golf carts and grounds equipment, so we're pretty busy. But our main objective here today was to tell you about the propane buses. We have a total of 5, which have been in service for about a year and a half, and we just completely love them. The had zero trouble with them. They perform very well, very efficient, and they transport our people to and from our condos and to and from the airports in the area. So they get a good workout.
Rick, maybe what we'll do is, just because of this, in sort of small panel group, we'll kind of frame this in a way that we can get some questions to you, so we'll take that through in just a couple of minutes. And actually, Barry Bryan, our other speaker, Bradford School District, Director of Transportation, same question to you, a little bit about your background and your experience.
All right, so I've been in school busing for probably close to 40 years now. My family had a bus company up in Butler and Slippery Rock area school districts. I worked a family business for about 15 years, and then I went to work for a large company it's now called First Student. And with First Student, I was a district manager and operated about 800 buses. Since then, I've created my own company again, and I'm now a contractor up in the Bradford School District. We run about 32 school buses there now, and 9 of those are propane.
Gentlemen, thank you all for being here. Again, just in smooth transition, Mark, we're going to have to go ahead and have you do your presentation.
Sure.
It's just a few slides.
It is just a few slides.
And I'll advance for you.
All right, thanks. So I just wanted to let you guys know about the CNG project that the Mid-Mon Valley Transit Authority is currently going through. So with that, just a quick background on the Mid-Mon Valley Transit Authority. It is a public transit agency. You can go ahead and move to the next slide. It's a public transit agency, very similar to the Port Authority. It's one of the other 9 public transit agencies in southwestern Pennsylvania. So it operates primarily in the middle Monongahela River Valley, which is encompassing towns that you may be familiar with as Charleroi, Monessen, California, as well as Monongahela, Rostraver, and Denora, where our bus garage is. So we primarily focus on those small sections of Washington County, Westmoreland County, Fayette County, right where all 3 of those counties meet in the Mon Valley, as well as with service into Allegheny County and downtown Pittsburgh. The fleet is made up of 29 total vehicles, ranging from buses that are 40 feet to 35 feet long, which are heavy-duty buses. There's 24 of those. There's also 5 medium-duty buses, which are your shorter 30-foot or less vehicles, but basically body on chassis. And then we have 7 dedicated routes that operate within the Mon Valley, as well as commuter service into downtown Pittsburgh. 8 of those 29 vehicles are newest vehicles in the fleet, and those are new for us and new for really the Mid-Mon Valley Transit Authority, because they are CNG compressed natural gas vehicles. So that's a little overview of the Transit Authority itself. I actually work for, I'm going to move to the next slide, MV Transportation. The Transit Authority actually goes out and publicly bids their transportation services. So they hire third-party contractors such as First or MV or one of the other National Express to come in and provide their transportation services as well as their maintenance service. So I work for MV Transportation, and they have thousands of vehicles all over the country, and it actually is the largest American-based and family-owned provider.
LNG forum where we brought people from industry together, because we said there was this disconnection, people from industry and the towing industry and suppliers and all kinds of folks talking together about one thing, retrofitting vessels. We then did a study, looked at vessels, looked at all the, we did a poll survey of all the regional operators that we were given by the Port of Pittsburgh. We got a lot of data and results of how much they use the fuel, what vessels, what types of vessels, all that stuff. Then we also commissioned, and forgive me for the full lab at Ray Hall Transportation Institute in Huntington.
Yeah, Marshall University.
And in Marshall. And they did a look at the highway and look at some convenient nexus points. Because one of the things we thought, and you can just go along the rivers today, and you made the point earlier about going to Kinder Morgan, and looks like it's nothing's going on, but there's a lot of stuff going on the water side. Well, what happens, most terminals, and I worked for the High River Company, and there they had trains meeting trucks, meeting a tipple that dumped into barges, all that activity was there. So we call those nexus points because if you put an LNG fueling facility there, you could fuel the railroads, you could fuel the trucks, and you could also fuel the towboats. So that was kind of what we were looking at. We looked at a lot of worldwide projects. And then we looked at the available types of retrofit. And from when we started the study with Peoples to when we finished this study, significant increase in both aftermarket kits as well as manufacturers like GE, like EMD, which is Progressive Rail, I guess owned by Caterpillar. They're all looking at retrofit kits and things like that for some of their equipment. Cummins Westport, all those things were going on. So, and then we looked at the big thing. These boats typically bunker underway. So we concluded that study. Port Pittsburgh has it. But the main thing everyone needs to understand from the start, I showed the very front picture. 2013, or 1913 is when people started shifting away from coal bunkers so really if you look at the innovations in the inland waterways, which is a very conservative group, they went from wooden to steel hulls. That was their biggest innovation. And the second innovation was going from coal to diesel. They have other innovations that they've done. I worked for a company, we tried a whole bunch of different things. We tried burning heavy fuel. We tried burning heavy fuel or bunker fuel. But there are a lot of different things that are happening. So natural gas and moving into that space is not something that will happen very quickly. So we looked at how could you do this? The average fleet age, and this is something else to consider. You saw your railroad model pre-1972. Well, think about that. Pre-1972, those locomotives are old. But in the locomotive industry and the towboat industry, the idea is because the vessel around it is still operational and good condition, you can throw a different engine in it. So you keep slapping new engines in it, called repower. And you talked about the clean diesel and that's the same kind of idea. We're just basically repowering whenever an engine goes. It's, I guess, equivalent to putting a new shoe on a horse, So the fleet ages are quite significant. In fact, I believe, I can't remember if they had on the thing for the Peoples, but that boat was built in like 1937, 39, something like that, the Pioneer. And so it's been operational, and they just do things to keep it moving and rolling. So the other thing is the new construction. So if it's possible to construct a new